Hey guys, we're back here on Xtreme Talk with Kyle St.Andrews. Today we're going to be interviewing Captain Calvinist of Swords from TikTok himself. And I'm going to run a clip of him right quick.
This is a very interesting question that Marketplace Saints asked. Can we prove that Jesus is one person and not a conglomeration of many people and many ideas? And the answer is yes, we can prove that Jesus was a singular person that lived in the Middle East. Now, we have to recognize that Yehoshua or Yeshua was a very common name in the Middle East around the time Jesus was born. But that does not give discredit to the historical Jesus that we know as Jesus Christ the Messiah. For example, we can take the Roman historian Thales, who was quoted by Sextus Julius Africanus at around 160, maybe 240 CE. And I say quoted because remember, it's not just a select group of people trying to study history around this time. There are very many historians recording things. We can also look at Roman historians such as Tacitus, who was very, very harsh on the idea of Christ, and Josephus, who was very lenient.
And we have Captain Calvinist of Swords right here with us tonight. How you doing today, man?
Oh man, I'm doing great right now. Having some things being done recently that's made me kind of excited.
Cool. How long have you been on TikTok, man?
Like since 2018 actually.
Wow, you've got
I didn't hit the Christian side of TikTok till last year actually. And before that, I did some pretty cringe content. I just did whatever I wanted. And so if you like look down, my content's like a hodgepodge of just a bunch of things.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. Christian TikTok really didn't blow up until February 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's about when I joined, because I joined a bit after the Black Doctor did it.
Okay.
Like a month after.
I did one video of Christian content in 2019, February 2019. I don't think I got involved with y'all until September of 19. Oh, no, September 2020, sorry.
That's when I was about to say 19.
No, 20.
Yeah.
But yeah. What other social medias are you on, man?
Currently I'm on Instagram, where I am the Captain Calvinist. I actually had to remake my account. It used to be, my actual name, but I lost access to that account because Instagram didn't do the email change request I wanted to do.
Wow.
Like I sent an email to Instagram saying, "Hey, I need my account email to be changed because I'm using a different email now," but they wouldn't change it for me. And they wouldn't let me change it. So,
wow.
And that actually permanently kicked me out of my account. So I had to make a new one.
Whoa.
I am also on Facebook, and I am also on Clapper. I also have another what's it called? I'm also here on Discord as I run a Christian Discord server called Defending Christianity, where we have scheduled debates. That's where I talk with everyone about my podcast, Defending Christianity, and I host the Tales of Easer D&D podcast. That's live streamed to my Twitch.
Awesome. Yes, I follow your Twitch. And everybody get a chance to go follow the Twitch, and it's under Captain Calvinist by itself, ain't it?
Yeah, it's Captain Calvinist. So one interesting thing about my TikTok, the reason why my TikTok's a bit different than all my other accounts is because it's not just Christian content and reformed content I post on my TikTok. It's also HEMA content, which HEMA is historical European martial arts, and that pertains to a lot of sword fighting. So you'll see a lot of fencing videos and a lot of sword related videos on my account. Actually, if you look at my past, I think it's last 4 videos, it's been sword fighting content.
I did look at that. I follow you. Honestly, you're the number one people on my For You page almost every time I turn on TikTok. So
Wow, I'm on a For You page. Jeez.
yes.
After some of the stuff I posted, I thought I would have been permanently taken off of there.
Well, I know one of them I stitched with you. I stitched one of your videos, or duetted one of your videos. You were doing sword content, and mine got removed, and I looked, and yours got removed also because they didn't.
Really?
Yeah, it was. I gotta go back and find out which one. I'll let you know later.
All right.
But so I noticed you got Calvinist in your name. Are you a Calvinist yourself?
Yes, I am a 5-point Calvinist, though if we're going to be very specific, because Calvinist is kind of an umbrella term for anyone that believes in the 5 points of Calvinism. If we are to get more specific with what I believe, I am a confessional Reformed Presbyterian, meaning I conform myself to the Westminster Standard of Faith, or the Westminster Standards, which is the Confession of Faith and the larger and shorter Catechism of the Westminster.
Okay. Um, I noticed there's a big difference in between Calvinism and Arminianism. Can you give us a little bit of history on that, or?
So, yeah, going back to the start of the Reformation,
Okay.
you have 2 major figures that defined early Protestantism in its entirety. You have, you of course have Martin Luther, who of course is the founder of the Lutheran Church, but you also have John Calvin, who is not the founder of the Reformed tradition, but is one of the founders. He's one of the reasons why it exists as it is today. And he's the largest proponent in that. Well, these 2 men, with the greatest ideas that they had, took a very serious route on the will of man, to the point Martin Luther said that man is bondaged to has the bondage of free will. And John Calvin said we're totally depraved in our free will, that before regeneration, we cannot by ourselves willingly go towards God. Well, there was this person that came along, and his name is Jacobus Arminius. He has a very Roman name.
It does.
Just noticed that. But Jacobus Arminius comes way after Martin Luther and way after John Calvin. Like, this is after the traditional Protestant churches have been established, such as the Anglican Church, the Presbyterian Church, the Dutch Reformed Church, and the Lutheran Church have already been established throughout Europe. And so has a lot of the Anabaptists, though their movements were relatively small and located primarily in Central Europe, near like Switzerland and places like that. They didn't get very far. However, Jacobus Arminius comes, and he does not like John Calvin's systematic theology. In fact, he absolutely despises it. There are some quotes from Arminius himself that just show how much he really disliked it, and none of them are fairly good quotes on his end. And there's also a bit of conspiracy about him being a Pelagian. If you take a bit of his quotes and compare them with Pelagius's quotes, they are not only similar, but Jacobus Arminius added so much to the quote that it expounded Pelagianism to a bit, to an extent, of course.
Yeah.
But in order to actually decide whether or not Arminius was speaking gospel truth or Calvinist, the Reformed tradition, was speaking gospel truth, that led to what we could probably consider in the modern sense to be the first ecumenical council amongst Protestants. That would be the Synod of Dort, where Lutherans, Calvinists, and Arminians all met in one central area in Dort to discuss theology, to discuss what is going to be the standard doctrine of the Protestant church, or what should be the standard Protestant of the doctrine, or the doctrine of the Protestant church. At the Synod of Dort, it was declared that Arminianism was heresy. Like, not in like any sort of it's wrong sense. No, it's wrong and it's dangerous type of heresy.
So
So
more
that
like
comes
modalism,
from
similar to the modalism being a heresy.
there's a I would actually probably say it would be considered worse than modalism, because one of the biggest defining features of uh, 5-point Arminianism is pretty much the removal of Christ and salvation.
Wow.
That is, no, mind you, if you got some Arminians watching, they're gonna be like super angry at that. But I myself, I used to be a 5-point Arminian. Like, I even go to the link to say I was a 5-point Arminian with Pelagianistic views. Like, that's how I grew up. And that's how my system of theology was for a very long time.
Well, there's a lot of my friends are Arminian, because a lot of Assembly of Gods lean into Arminianism. I've noticed that, and a lot of the holiness and Pentecostals do.
Yeah, it's easier for the Pentecostal tradition to fall into that, and it's also if anything doesn't stick with the confession of faith that, you know, the Protestant that's traditional of the Reformed to do, normally they're going to have an Arminian type of lean, because they're missing what we would call their standard, the thing that makes them responsible to the entirety of the church. And of course, that's also led to a lot of problems, like between Presbyterians and Methodists, for example. Like, Methodists, they don't have a proper confession of faith because they fall under the Anglican communion. They don't really need one.
Yeah.
However, and they've taken a very Arminian route to their theology, but they've also, in other sects of Methodism, like the First Methodist Church, I think, is very Calvinistic in its approach.
And also,
And since they don't have that, you know, confession standard, we would say that they're inconsistent in their beliefs and that it's not really a safe church to be in.
Okay. Well, it covers a lot of Baptists too, because I mean, you got the Southern Baptists.
As Southern Baptists, we just ignore them.
They're right in the middle.
There are Reformed Baptists that are part of the Southern Convention. However, they're very few in number. Like, if you go onto our Discord server, you'll find a Reformed Baptist whose tag name is Aspie Bard, and his Reformed Baptist church, that is 1869 Confessional, or 1689 or 1869, I can't remember, London Baptist Confessional, they're still part of the Southern Baptist Convention.
Huh.
But in his words, they're holding the line with scissors.
I was going to go into today's subject talking about the underground church and the persecuted church from a political standpoint, and also bringing it from a religious standpoint also, and ask you your opinion on some things. Prime example, there's certain parties in the United States that says, political parties, that say in the near future churches will be persecuted and pushed underground here in America. Do you see this being a possibility?
Yes and no. This actually depends on a few factors. One, you'd have to say that, and this is coming from my personal opinion, you would have to make an emphatic statement that the United States itself will have a massive political shift within the next decade.
Yes.
Like, we would have to go from fairly, right now, we are still a moderate nation. We are still on the political axis. We are very central still, relatively. You'd have to say that we'd have to go from that center point to like the upper left or the upper right real fast. Like it, in order for persecutions or the religious hiding to start in the first place. And you'd also have to predict a scenario where the Constitution of the United States itself is thrown away like a piece of paper. So there's a lot of factors you'd have to go into it, and I can understand where people would say this is a possibility because it's not outside the realm of imagination. I mean, we saw in Scotland a couple months ago that the Bible was almost trying to be banned. We see in communist China right now that the government in the CCCP is trying to rewrite the Bible for the Catholic Christians that are there, which is completely ludicrous because the Catholic Church doesn't like that, but they haven't made a statement on it yet, as far as I understand.
They haven't. And also you have Venezuela that just out of the blue went hardcore socialist and has suppressed their church. And even back in the 50s, you have Cuba doing what they did under Fidel Castro, just overnight.
Yeah. So I'm saying it has to be a massive like shift in political thought for America. Because no matter how you get it, even if you're looking at the left and you're looking at the right, there is generally a libertarian lean to it, or a liberal lean. And what that means is generally most Americans are not going to fall under the authoritarian spectrum. Even with, the modern conservative party that is in the United States, such as the Republicans, they themselves, in like a mass quantity, probably are not very authoritarian. Relatively speaking, they're not very authoritarian. Now, we've definitely shifted up more towards the authoritarian spectrum the closer we got to the 21st century. And that's not because of the rise of communism, but actually because of the rise of social programs in the United States. But and especially the rise of paleoconservatism and neoconservatism.
Yes. There's another thing I was going to ask. The possibility, you said there is a very possibility, a big if we go into a huge swing politically, that it could go into underground church. Do you think churches need to be preparing today, this moment in time, for the future like this?
Absolutely. The church, no matter under what circumstance, should be ready to face persecution. Historically, that has always happened to Christians, and we can see it happening throughout the world. There is no reason why it can't happen in a Western nation. Like, we see attempts in it in Western nations already, with social norms that are brought by Christianity being turned over their head for a more pagan out view of the world. Give me a second. But the church, to shorten what I'm going to say, yes, the church does absolutely need to be prepared in the event of persecutions. Like, the church in itself is supposed to be a sanctuary. Like, one of the names for a lot of places in a church where you go to worship is called the sanctuary, and it's called that for a reason. Like, Christians during the persecutions, that's where they went to be safe.